Good morning. I hope your coffee's as good as mine. Hell, I hope it's better. I really do. I hope you're having a good cup of coffee this morning. Boy, I tell you, last night I was getting ready for the show and I was all set to deliver some good news on Iran, man. I tell you what, I was excited. I was excited. Then Trump read an article he didn't like. Let's dig into it. Let's go. So you may remember from last show, I was talking about how we've moved more troops into Iran, into the region, more Marines, on top of the original expeditionary force, the original 5,000 men that we had moved in. We have more men in transit there. When I say we moved them in, they're flying in right now. And I told you, I said, look, there's going to be a ground invasion. There just is. And the reason I made that assumption, that assessment is, well, Donald Trump. He was never bright to begin with. And he is demented. He is sundowning. And he is surrounded by one of the weakest, most incompetent administrations we have ever had. I mean, these are some dumb people around him. And there seems to be no one that is acting as a guardrail. There seems to be no one that can talk to Trump and tell him, no, this is a bad idea. This is stupid. Don't do this. He just acts on his impulses. And that's why I came to the assumption, hey, look, there's going to be a ground invasion. But then after that show on Friday, you know, I read constantly. This is what I do. You folks, you take care of me. You keep the show funded so that I can actually spend my Saturday reading all damn day. And man, by the end of the day, I was feeling pretty good. I was feeling like maybe I got it wrong. You know, and this is why. You know, I probably read 24 articles from different sources, and they all pretty much will seem to jive. See, you can't trust a one-off. You can't trust an article from a source to really, you know, it's up in the air. If it's just one person, it's like, that might happen. But if it's 12 people with different sources and they're all coming to the same conclusion, you can pretty much well hang your hat on it. That was the wrong article, by the way. But it's saying the same thing. It's saying the same thing. I told you, you've got Italy and France that are leading the way. They're engaged in diplomatic, in a diplomatic press with Iran to try to de-escalate this militarily, and try to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. And they appeared to have been making headway, good headway. This was announced by Ali Mazzouri. He's the Iranian ambassador to the UK, and he was speaking to Chinese state press when he made this announcement. And man, it went out on the wire services. Iran says Hormuz open to all but enemy-linked ships. So we've got Iran signaling to the UK and China and France and Italy that, look, we're not going to back off of this. We've been attacked. We're not going to back off of this. We're not going to say everything is okay. Everything is everything. That's not where we're at. But the negotiations were moving. The ball was rolling. And anybody that knows anything about diplomatic negotiations, man, that is good news. That is good news, because what comes next is an ask. Hey, you want this completely de-escalated? This is what I need. And then comes back an offer. Well, you know what? We can't do all of this, but I understand your position, but we can do this. And then that gets rejected. No, we can't do that. That's not enough. That's not enough. I need restitution. This happened. That happened. This is how it works, man. And the fact that it was rolling, that you had the ambassador to the UK from Iran making this announcement. He's not going to do this willy-nilly. They will kill him if he just went on his own and said this. This was coming out of Iran. This had the blessing of Ayatollah Mujtaba Khomeini and the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps leaders. So yeah, I was feeling pretty good. I was, man. I was like, all right. It's happening. It's happening. And there was more. It wasn't just Ali Massavi's comment. I saw greedy shit going on with Trump. We've seen this. We've seen them reacting to the pressure of oil prices. We've seen it. And it wasn't just this. It was several things that had me feeling pretty good. We've talked about this before. They dropped the Russian oil sanctions. But on top of that, we saw some typical Trump greed shit going on. Even though, it was a problem. Our European allies were pissed. They were pissed that we dropped, told everybody, drop the Russian oil sanctions. You can sell oil. It's okay, Russia. Europe was pissed. They're like, do you realize? I just want you to take a second. We have our audience is global. There are members of our audience from Europe. Do you know what a slap in the face that was? You need to think for a second the shit that our European friends have put up with over those sanctions. It was a big deal for them to lose that oil. It was a big deal for them to lose that natural gas. This was not this really affected their lives and their economies. Then Benjamin Netanyahu and Donald Trump get a stupid fucking idea because they're both in trouble. They attack Iran, which makes things just infinitely worse. And their fix is, never mind the sanctions. All that shit you've been putting up with for the last 3-4 years because of the war in Ukraine. And how, because we asked you to, we're allies. We asked you to put pressure on Russia. All that discomfort that you suffered through Europe. Eh, fuck it. Forgive my language. I'm a little bit angry about this. I'm a little salty right now. Think about that, though. Put yourself in their position. All of that shit you've put up with. You've seen your economy get kicked right in the cooter, man, because of energy prices. All gone. And it's not just that. It's not just that. And this is why I really thought, okay, we might be heading to a resolution, because Trump is now doing greed shit. And you know how Trump is. When he's getting some greedy shit going on, that's all that really matters. That's all that really matters. Because it wasn't just energy sanctions that he lifted. He's actually started to lift sanctions on individuals. So no, this isn't just about oil prices. There's some shenanigans going on. There are some shenanigans going on. It is, he started to peel back sanctions on individuals that we sanctioned that were helping Russia in their war effort. There's a Yuri Korsavin and his wife Lydia Korsavin, Korsavina, pardon me. They're heavy investors in a company called L4TL, which is a logistics company. TL, by the way, stands for truckload. There's two types of shipping. There's LTL, which is basically partial truckloads, which is, for instance, when I order mug blanks to make the mugs, they come LTL, which means I don't order enough for an entire truck to ship to me. So you've seen this before. A shipping company, will take partial loads. Part of it was mine from one company. Part of it, what's in the truck, is from another company, to reduce costs. Less than a truckload is what LTL stands for. They deal in basically shipping containers is what they do. It's TL shipping, truckload shipping. They're a logistics company that basically works with port operators, and they allow shipping in and out of Russia. That's what that means. It's just side note, in case you were wondering what the TL and L4TL stands for. It's a logistics company. We sanctioned them because they were helping Russia with the war in Ukraine. That's gone. Done. They're doing business. They're going and blowing, man. They're doing business again. Wherever they want, however they want. So that got me thinking. And by the way, this is L4TL. This is something that caught my attention. I want to pause the show for a second, just to share with you. When I'm doing research on these companies and stuff, every once in a while something will strike me. And I really found this fascinating. This is L4TL, okay? This is their headquarters. And we like to think we're so different. We like to think that we're so different. This could be, if you've been in any of the logistics areas in Dallas or Houston, this could be, there's corporate offices up front, and then here's the warehouse in the back. This could be any warehouse in frickin' Dallas, man. It just really blew my mind and caught my attention just how much we are alike. How things don't change around the world. I mean, I know we like to think we're different, but we're not. We're not. We're just not. When you look at these things up front and in your face, it really is not that different. Forgive me for that side note. It was just a feeling I had. I was like, wow, that could be in freaking Dallas, man. But no, it's Moscow. Moscow. But I also, I saw the machinations going on around oil prices, and I thought, you know, this is starting to hit home. This is really starting to hit home. Let's do a refresh, see where we're at right now. Yep. West Texas Intermediate is almost $100 a barrel. Brent's already 112, but Murban crude, which is basically Middle East regional basket, it's a benchmark they use. It's at 150, almost 150 a barrel. And that's after not only did we drop sanctions on Russia, but we also dropped sanctions on Iran. Yeah, the people that we're supposedly at war with, we're buying oil from. Yeah, it's crazy. It's just crazy. It's insane. But that made me think, okay, these oil prices are really hitting home. I mean, things like they're watching things like this happen like the rest of us. They're seeing the major refinery in Tel Aviv just gets the shit blown out of it. It's going to be offline for a significant amount of time. The Israeli government came out as soon as it happened and said, not a scratch. It's fine. Nothing vital. But now today, the owner of the refinery is like, we're fucked, man. This thing is going to be shut down for a while. And of course, this has happened multiple times. One of its larger, Kuwait's largest oil refineries has been hit by Iran again. All of this is driving oil prices through the roof, and it's not something that's easily fixed. It's not something that we can quickly fix. It won't be over anytime soon. And I just, I was reading this. I was reading what was coming out, like I said, from Ali Masavi. And man, I thought, okay, we're going to do it. The grown-ups in the room, the diplomacy's working. Iran has budged. Even the Trump administration is in full freak out mode about oil prices and what it's doing to our economy. We might be okay. We might not see a ground invasion. We might not see. But then this morning, I saw what everybody said late last night. And Israel said, okay, this war's going to go on for a long time because Iran hit their nuclear uh, their nuclear research facility that Israel has always denied that they've had. They blew the shit out of it yesterday. Serious damage. Plus the oil refinery in Tel Aviv. And Benjamin Netanyahu says this war's going on forever, basically. Because they've got no end goal. They've got no objective. It's just now tit for tat, tit for tat. We got to get some payback. And then this happened. And I want you to pay attention to the time. This was at 6:37 p.m. yesterday. This is from Donald Trump himself. The United States has blown Iran off the map, and yet their lightweight analyst, David Singer, he doesn't mean Iran's analyst. David Singer works for the New York Times. The United States has blown Iran off the map, and yet their lightweight analyst, David Singer, says that I haven't met my own goals. Yes, I have, and weeks ahead of schedule. There is no schedule. And his goals have been shifting the entire, they had no plan, no goals, no nothing. They just keep claiming different things that they were planning to achieve after the fact. And when they found out that they had actually killed Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, their goal became stated regime change. But before that, it was not regime change. Clearly, they said, no, it's not regime change. Oh, we killed him? Oh, well, that's our goal, regime change. Yes, I have, and weeks ahead of schedule. Their leadership is gone. Their Navy and Air Force is dead. They have absolutely no defense, and they want to make a deal. I don't. We are weeks ahead of schedule, just like their incompetent election coverage of me. Not Iran's election coverage of him. The New York Times. The failing New York Times always gets it wrong. President Donald J. Trump. I was like, okay. Somebody's having a hissy fit about some news coverage. Somebody's sundowning. Somebody's having dementia problems. What the hell is he talking about? What articles is he talking about? Well, there were two articles from David Singer, one that have him absolutely falling apart. It came out on the 20th, on Friday. And Trump is absolutely losing his mind. First, this one. Trump signals the U.S. may leave allies to manage Iran fallout. You wouldn't think this would have bothered him because this went along with one of his social media posts where he threatened to do that very thing. But in that article, they mentioned that he would be basically turning tail and running, that he's losing. So he's going to take his ball and go home. And that pissed Trump off. Then this article came out. David Singer released this article where he goes back and enumerates exactly how much they have failed. And Trump lost his damn mind. And when I say he lost his mind, I mean he lost his damn mind. They tried to make it a little better. Just an FYI, the New York Times tried to soothe him a little bit by releasing this article, which was slightly more complimentary, saying, oh, well, there are chances here. There are chances here. He might be the leader to do it. But no. Remember, I told you to pay attention to the time. At 6:30 on Saturday, Trump released that post about David Singer. Just a little over an hour later, he released this threat. If Iran doesn't fully open without threat the Strait of Hormuz within 48 hours from this exact point in time, which means tomorrow at 7:45 is the deadline, 7:44 is the deadline, the United States of America will hit and obliterate their various power plants, starting with the biggest one first. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. What an idiotic way to sum up something. You just threatened a country. This is a war crime, by the way. This is a blatant open war, and I'm going to explain why here in just a second. A blatant open war crime. But you're going to end this post with, thank you for your attention to this matter? Who's that directed to? Fucking Iran? This man is deeply demented, is sundowning badly. The result of that has been Iran backpedaling. Iran has backpedaled. They were talking, okay, we're going to open up the straits. Everything, we're going to, everybody that was working with them, everybody from China to France to Italy to their neighbors in the region that were talking to Iran, all lost credibility instantaneously, because right after Iran makes the public 100%, Ali Mousavi is telling the ambassador of UK, is telling the United Kingdom, he is telling the press in the United Kingdom, he's telling the press in China, we're going to open up that strait to some shipping, but not Israel into US. Right after that, the threats. We're going to commit war crimes on you. And Iran's response was, you know what? Never mind. Never mind. And why did this happen? This president is, well, like I say, he's stupid. He has dementia. He does not read. He gets limited briefings because he can't pay attention to them anyways. In a normal White House, an announcement like that coming from Iran if we were attacking them, would immediately make its way through the White House to the President of the United States. Everyone would be briefed on this. Not us. Not anymore. Not anymore. This never made it to Trump. Iran's offer never made it to Trump. So now we're in a situation where the idiot in chief has made a threat, which is, I can't stress this enough, a fucking war crime. It is a war crime. If you attack power plants in a war, those power plants have to be directly tied to the military. They do. If you don't, you're attacking civilian infrastructure. You can't attack water treatment plants. That's a war crime. You can't attack power plants. That's a war crime. You cannot attack a civilian population. It is, the 1949 Geneva Conventions couldn't be more clear on this. And there is a caveat to that. The only one you cannot attack even if it is a dual purpose facility where the military actually uses it, is a nuclear power plant. You can't do that because of what happens to nuclear power plants when bombs fall on them. Folks, this is the Bashehr nuclear power plant in Iran. This is the Bashehr nuclear power plant in Iran. He specifically said he was going to destroy their largest power plant. He didn't name Bashehr by name because I don't think he knows the name. This is their largest power plant. Here's a close-up to give you an idea of this largest by both physically largest and produces the most electricity. To give you an idea of the scale, this is the reactor room, the reactor dome, the containment dome for the reactor. You could tell by those doors are normal human-sized doors. I mean, this is a big place. This is a big place. Now look, this is a Russian-made VVER 1000 reactor facility. This isn't like Chernobyl. This isn't like the old RBMKs. They've done things differently. So you're going to get a lot of right-wingers that are going to say, oh, no, it's not a problem. Don't be scared. Don't worry. This isn't a problem. There are fail-safes. This is what the core looks like in a VVR 1000. Again, this is designed and built by the Russians. You're literally staring down into the core. You see these, this is a hexagonal shape. The reason they're going to tell you this is safe is at 18 different places in this core, there are containment rods. And the containment rods are made out of boron. And when this reactor's in operation, those rods are pulled out. And the way they're pulled out is by just a giant electromagnet. It's switched on, it pulls these rods out and holds them up. Why that setup? Well, it's kind of like the brakes on an 18-wheeler. The brake pedal on an 18-wheeler isn't applying the brakes. That's not what it's doing. On an 18-wheeler as a fail-safe, they're spring-loaded for the brakes to clamp on. Big springs. Clamp the brakes down. The only way that you can move that truck is if you supply air to the system, in which case air pressure forces the brakes away. So as you hit the brakes in an 18-wheeler, you're removing air pressure and allowing those pads to close around the brake drum or expand out to the brake drum. It's a fail-safe. In case something goes wrong with the braking system and you lose air, that truck stops. No matter what you're doing, it stops. It is designed that if it fails, the brakes slam on. The VVER nuclear reactor doesn't need a human. It doesn't. It's got an electromagnetic magnet. And if something goes on, like, bombs go off, hey, or you lose power, or there's some sort of failure, that electromagnet will lose power, and those boron control rods that have a magnetic top will just drop. Gravity will pull them down into the reactor. It takes between 2 and 4 seconds and completely shut that reactor down. Then on top of that, it's built in what they call it an subatmospheric containment system. What that means is you've got the outer dome, and then on the inner dome, it operates at a slight vacuum. So if something goes wrong and the containment is breached, that reactor doesn't go and blow radioactive steam and material and everything all over the place. It does just the opposite. It goes and sucks it in. At least for a while. At least for a while. That's the shit that you're going to hear out of the right wing. Oh, this isn't scary. This isn't a threat. This is, these things aren't, bullshit. These containments and safety measures are meant for normal problems. For instance, in Chernobyl, they cut power to the reactor. They were waiting for the diesels to come on. It was during a test that they were doing to make sure that the backup system would come on. Ironically, it was a safety test that caused the disaster in Chernobyl. And all hell went wrong. That was under normal conditions. This motherfucker's talking about dropping bombs on this facility. That is not what these safety measures were meant for. A subatmospheric containment chamber does fuck all when you blow holes in the containment chamber. Control rods that are damaged from, I don't know, a fucking bomb going off don't slide down into the shaft, into the hole. They just don't. You can break one of these pretty damn easy if you're using shit like bombs. And the coolant in these isn't water anymore. It's not just water. They dissolve boron into it, and it absorbs the neutrons. These neutrons, you want to know how fast this happens? You want to know how fast this happens? Okay. The neutrons in this reactor, they're traveling at like 3 to 10% of light speed. To give you an idea, if something goes wrong, this reactor gets torn open, how fast will these neutrons move? It's about 20,000 kilometers per second. Let me give you a reference. That is New York to LA in 1/5 of a second. Let me 1/1000 to 1,000. In that time frame, neutrons from that reactor could have circumvented the globe. I just can't with these people. There's a reason it's against the Geneva fucking conventions to bomb a nuclear reactor. And I will tell you, Netanyahu doesn't care. Trump doesn't care. Israel already violates the Geneva Conventions. They just argue that for some reason that they pulled out of their ass crack that the Geneva Conventions don't apply to occupied territories. I shit you not. Look, Google it. Fact check me on that. Israel already claims they have an exemption from the Geneva Conventions in occupied territories. Not to mention that they just fucking break them all the time. There's footage for you all over social media if you want to see what they're doing in Lebanon. This isn't like the old days where all you got to see was, like some leftover rubble. No, there's an apartment building that gets hit by Israel that collapses. An apartment building. So yeah, and it's not just Netanyahu, folks. It's not just Netanyahu. It's us. It's us. See, we're doing this. Even though it really hasn't really made the news much, we're blockading Cuba. There are laws and rules around blockades. There are laws and rules around blockades. Why is this significant? Why are we blocking them from taking oil shipments? This is why. One second. This is never a power plant in Cuba. Their power plants are some of the oldest and dirtiest around. You see those containers on the right, those big ass oil containers? Their power plants run off oil. Russian oil specifically. You're not allowed to attack power plants. You're not allowed. It is against the Geneva Conventions. It is a fucking war crime to attack civilian infrastructure, and we are doing it right now. We are engaged in a blockade around Cuba, which you can make some arguments, but you can't argue this. This is clearly defined in the 1949 Geneva Conventions. This goes back to some of the original Geneva Conventions. You cannot deprive a civilian population of power. People die. You are at that point attacking the civilian population. And we're doing it. We're doing it right out in the open. Hell, we're making press releases about it. So yeah, when they start bombing the Bashehr nuclear facility, nuclear power plant, and the right wingers say, "Oh well, it's not like Chernobyl. It's not like what it used to be," and it's bullshit. It's a fucking war crime, and we're going to do it. We are. There is no one around this president anywhere to act as a guardrail. There are no grown-ups in the room. No one bright enough to look at this situation. They're so incompetent. Again, Iran announces we're going to open up the strait. Do you know what that would have done to oil prices? You'd have probably seen a 20% reduction. It would have probably dropped West Texas Intermediate from right at 100, just scraping 100, back down to 80 to 85 a barrel in a matter of a day or two. just by opening that straight up. Nope. Completely incompetent. Completely incompetent. No one briefed the president. No one can be bothered to go bother our dumbass president and say, hey, this happened. Guess what, boss? This happened. We are not the same. We are not the same. And I could only imagine what the press coverage would be. There's no press coverage of this, by the way. There is no press coverage of this. And if my hillbilly ass sitting out in the woods in Northeast Texas can timeline this together from the announcements to the press can, the corporate media has entire journalistic staffs. Francie Fosdick, welcome. And thank you for gifting the memberships. Thank you. I'm very grateful. Daryl, thank you for the support, brother. GSP, thank you for the support. Rich gifting, folks. If you're watching this on replay, or if you're here watching live and you don't have a membership, there are free memberships available. All you got to do is hit the join. They're gifted from our very gracious community here to you. All you have to do is hit the join button down there and follow the instructions. You may have to make a change in your YouTube settings that allows you to accept gifts, but that's no big deal. It's right down there. One button right down there. AT Malcolm Nance thinks that about 30 days for the MEU to just get to the straight. These people are leading us to ruin. Are you ready to get involved yet? Folks, to give you an idea of the time frame and how long things are going to be screwed up, and I was watching some of the people in the back and forth. You can go to some of the blogs and some of the oil industry. There are oil industry blogs, and there are news outlets that are just specifically focused on the oil industry. You can go into their comments section, and people were pointing out that, just to give you a reference, the oil that left the Persian Gulf before, when this all started, the last oil to get out has just now started reaching refineries. There is a lag, folks. This isn't going to just one day everything's going to be fine. These oil prices are going to be high for a while. Cassie Lake also cut sanctions on Belarus potash. Yeah, farmers are desperate right now. That is why I had some hope last night that just completely dashed this morning. That somebody was getting through. I mean, just the sheer idiocy of all of this. And it was by choice. We did it for Netanyahu. We did it because Trump is in the Epstein files and was in deep shit. He'd lost the immigration argument, and we're not even talking about that anymore, are we? Trump had completely lost the immigration argument, so he went and started a war. Pam Bondi was in trouble because of their idiotic handling of the Epstein files. So they went and started a war. And now we're going to commit war crimes. Simquin, thank you for all that you do, Texas Poe. I appreciate you. Thank you. Jan Rankenberg, schizophrenic policies direct from rapist in chief. He is alien from planet Stupider. E.T., watch Valor, Drone Hunters of Curzon documentary. Mark Gunn, preemptive swear jar controversy. Well, I appreciate you, Mark. Thank you. Rock and R, thank you for being here. Chandra Patton's been salty for a while now. I hear you, man. I hear you. I hear you. ET, parts of LNG refining only made in Italy was 400 mil, now is over $1 billion. You can be homebound and still phone bank and envelope stuff. Get involved. Yeah, definitely, people. Definitely. There are ways to get involved. Even if you're like you say, you can just phone bank for people. There are ways to get involved. Melissa Grubb, he didn't have a mind to lose. Yep. Mr. Will, hey Paul, I had to change the tune on my car so it will run on regular gas. Will here is I kind of really enjoy conversations with him because he does a lot of custom work on cars, and what he's talking about is the compression on some of these cars. Especially you're talking high performance custom rides. Once you start hitting that 9.5, 10 to 1 compression, they won't run on regular gas anymore. They won't. You got to put the expensive shit in there. And yeah, I get what you're saying. Gas is $4.69, but it's nothing compared to what this sick Peach shithead is doing. It's insane. Batting 1,000 on getting it wrong. Good God, he is. And I shit you not, Israel this morning, they just put out a press release that said, no, we're for the attacks on our nuclear facility. They didn't say their nuclear facility. They're still denying it exists. But no, it's out and open. They're saying that there will be reprisals. I mean, fuck, people. We were making headway. Paul P. 1701. Israel must have the complete Epstein files, and this is why the Orange Buffoon is doing their bidding, even committing war crimes. He's isolated in a little bubble. He only has a certain number of people he listens to, and that's it. That's it. And Benjamin Netanyahu has a direct line in. Jordan B. Miller, I believe the only briefings Trump gets are social media about him. I believe you're right. Linda Orndorff, I'm so angry about this, I can hardly see straight. It's so obvious by Iran's strike on Israel's nuclear facilities that Trump's regime was not taken out of Iran's strike capabilities. No. Iran is not beaten. No, they are not. Tony Mason, attacking power plants is what Putin is doing to Ukraine. Yep. Donnie takes advice from Putin and Bibi, not his own advisors or in military. They both have the Epstein files. Go figure. This is just exactly like what was going on in Ukraine. They attacked the Chernobyl facility. They did. And the entire world said, look, fucker, that's a red line. One more bomb hits there, and that's it. And they stopped. So we're going to go attack Bakar? What do you think Russia's going to do in Ukraine? I mean, this has wide-ranging effects, people. And I swear, I don't know, you people are smarter than I am. You are some of the smartest people I know. I know no one in his inner circle that can tell him, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. They're all yes men. They're all sycophants. Thanks for the support. Give me a break. Ask them about how much of a slap in the face this is about the Russian sanctions. Give me a break. Ask. Forgive me for gulping into the mic. I apologize. Give me a break. Here's from Denmark. Ask. Dead man key. Yep. But that's what they're designed to do when there's a problem. They lose power, the control rods drop in. That's not designed to survive bombs. It's not. It's just that system, the negative, the sub atmosphere containment system. None of that is designed to withstand bombs. Locomotion says train brakes work the same. Yep. Monica Berlin, government as entertainment. Taintment. I love it. Entertainment. For the, I see what you did there, Monica. I see what you did there for the dumbasses. Can't wait until we can pour out a little Diet Coke for him when we hear the news of him being no more. Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about Bob Mueller here in just a second. Yeah, Trump's obituary is the most anticipated obituary I think, in the history of man. Vlado 1. Hey, Texas Paul, thank you for all you do. What does it mean if the U.S. blows up the nuclear plant and containment fails? Do those neutrons cause an explosion or worldwide radiation disaster? It'll be a regional disaster. Right in the middle of it. We're sitting here talking about, okay, global economic collapse because we're losing oil in the region. If they have an uncontrolled breach of that reactor, it will affect the entire region. It won't be just. All right, let me give you an idea where we're talking. Let's go to the map. You remember in the last show we talked about Karg Island. We talked about Karg Island. This is where Karg Island is. I just want to give you an idea of the location. Karg Island. This is the Bashehr nuclear power plant. All right. Now let's back out. I'll take the topography off so that you get a better idea where the borders are. Remember, we're still talking right here. This is the Bashehr plant right here. We're talking about bombing a nuclear power plant right here. What do you think that's going to do to Kuwait? What do you think that's going to do to Iraq? What do you think that's going to do to Bahrain and Qatar? These places are not thousands of miles away. If they bomb this facility and it goes wrong, one bomb hits what they don't plan for it to hit. Imagine, yeah, and exactly, Ruben. Saudi Arabia too, just right across the Gulf. Imagine what that is, the epicenter of Middle Eastern oil production, and you're going to bomb a nuclear plant there? This is madness. This is madness, and we'll know one of two things happens. And this is what I want to wrap the whole Iran discussion up with. Is this you are? And it's not bullshit. I'm not kissing your ass. You're some of the smartest people I know. What are the options here? Now we have a deadline set, 7:44 tomorrow evening Eastern time. That's 6:44 Central. For you and the international audience, Just look up New York time or Washington D.C. time. You'll get the time difference if you just Google it from where you're at 7:44 Eastern time tomorrow. We hit a deadline on a threat that's it's not going to be met. Iran has already said, fuck you. What are the options at this point? Okay, let's start with Trump takes his ball and goes home. He just says, I'm done with this and goes home. What does that mean? Globally, what does that mean? Boy, I tell you, you talk about an emboldened Iran. And they've got a more extreme regime in power now than when we started. We killed all the moderates. I tell you, the guy that's running the revolution, the IRGC right now, that guy has removed people's skin before. Yeah. So if we just take our ball and go home, we have an empowered, emboldened Iran that is worse than when we started. Okay? That option sucks. Option number 2, somebody shoves a ball gag in Trump's mouth. They figure out some way to distract him, give him a new box of crayons, something. Just take Trump off the table. And the grown-ups in the room make some headway. And things open back up. Okay? You've got an Iran that, again, is more extreme than they were before, but now you have they're involved. They're no longer the pariah they were before we started. They're actually coming off like the grown-ups in the room, the ones willing to negotiate. Their relationship is stronger with China. Their relationship will be stronger with Europe. Their relationship will be stronger with Russia. Their relationship will be and the United States, our relationship is diminished with Europe. Our relationship is diminished with China. Our relationship is diminished with Russia. Our relationship is, and even Israel, who we did this for in the first place, is going to be fucking pissed at us because they want this to continue. They need us fighting Iran so that they can invade southern Lebanon and take a chunk of southern, move their northern border north. That option sucks too. Third option, we invade. We invade. Send in, cut loose the dogs of war. No more strategic bombing. No more, just cut loose the dogs of war. Another 20 years of war. We go bankrupt in the meantime. Mass inflation here because of what it's going to do to our debt, which is already at a tipping point. What are, what are our options here? Realistically, what are our options? Is there one I'm missing? Is there an avenue that I'm not seeing? Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Give me 1 second. While you think about this, I wanna hear from you. What do you think a good option is? 1 second. I wanna see if I can find this for you. No, yeah, this has happened too. This is a different one. Uh, if you're on Facebook, this is a good one actually. If you're on Facebook, just do a search for AP and go to AP. They actually have been bringing in footage from around the world that you're not seeing typically in our press. You know, you're not seeing our our Baghdad embassy on fire from drones hitting uh, our embassy. This happened on the 17th. You're just not seeing that. I'm trying to find a specific video for you. Let's see if I can find it for you. There you go. There it is. This was, let me pause this for a second so that I don't end up. Let me let me stop this for just. I don't want to end up hitting a copyright, ending up with a copyright strike that you don't get. So people are watching on replay don't get to see it. If I show that news clip for too long, they can hit me with a copyright strike. I just want to give you some setup. You s- you've seen it before. You've seen these war zones, and you see the pictures of rubble. You know, you see buildings with holes, gaping holes in them, and but you don't see it happen. You don't see what it looks like. This is an apartment building in Lebanon. This is Israel doing this. I want you to just watch this. I'll let it run through so you can see the whole thing. This is not a detonation. You know, this is not a building being knocked down. This is what war looks like. It's an Israeli missile hitting an apartment building in central Lebanon. So when you see news about a strike or imagine being a family in that apartment building. That's what war looks like, people. One minute you're there, next minute you're not. I assure you, no one survived that. That's what Israel's doing in Lebanon right now. And they will say, oh, that was Hamas headquarters, or that was, you could see it with your own eyes. That's a fucking apartment building. Was there Hezbollah in it? Probably. Probably. Was everybody in that apartment building Hezbollah? No. No. And they are gone. And kudos to AP for showing it. Kudos to AP for showing it. You know, that's something you don't normally get on our news. They don't like it to be too real. Yeah, that's what I've got for you on Iran today. And I just want to give you a heads up before we go to the Robert Mueller segment. This is happening tomorrow also. This is going to be a nightmare. They are taking a beating over what's going on at our airports and TSA. TSA agents are quitting. They're calling in. Our airports are functionally shutting down because Republicans don't want to look like they took an L. That's it. They just don't want to look like they took a loss to the Democrats. So what they're going to do is they're going to send ICE agents into our airports. Folks, I just want to point out how idiotic this is. You know how poorly trained ICE agents are? Here, let me read this to you first. This is, again, government by social media post. On Monday, ICE will be going to airports to help our wonderful TSA agents who have stayed on the job despite the fact that the radical left Democrats, who are only focused on protecting hardline criminals, you mean like the people you've been arresting at Home Depot and construction sites and restaurants and those hardline criminals who have entered our country illegally? That's not even a felony. That's not even a felony. Are endangering the USA by holding back the money that was long ago agreed to with signed and sealed contracts and all. No, it wasn't. This is part of the budget. This is part of the budget negotiations. You're a fucking liar. But watch, no matter how great a job ICE does, and this is the part I want. This is why I wanted to read this to you. This is the part where they know how badly this is going to go. You can tell how they know how badly this is going to go. He's been told, don't do this, but he's going to do it anyways. Listen, says, but watch, no matter how great a job ICE does, the lunatics leading the incompetent Dems will be highly critical of their work. They will do a fantastic job. No, they won't. They won't. These idiots, you've seen these imbeciles and the way they do their job, how poorly fucking trained they are just to do brute squad work. TSA agents, folks, are professionals. They are trained. They are trained to spot these. When they're asking you those questions, they're running through a series of scenarios in their head while they're asking you these questions. They're not just doing it just to, read a script, or they're watching your response to certain questions. They're, folks, they're professionals. They are. They really are. And they've been trained to do this job for a very long time. And starting Monday, we're getting ICE assholes who weren't even trained to do their original job are going to be the ones giving you the pat down. I went through security when I went up to Boston for the last King's Day, no King's Day. I went through security at our airport down here. And that agent, I went through a body scanner, and I don't remember what I had in my pocket, but I had something in my pocket I wasn't supposed to. I was supposed to empty it. It was my fault. Nothing they did. All on me. And that agent said, look, just the way he handled it, the way he explained the situation, it was orders. I want you to stand right here. I'm going to need you to put your arms up. And this is what I'm going to do. And then he went on to, this is why we're doing it. And he pointed to the screen and he said, see right there in your pocket, something tipped off the scanner. So we've just got to check and see. I've got to give you a full pat down. And when you're at that point, you get they grab the balls pat down. Yeah. I mean, that's the not nice pat down. When you fucked up like I did and you went through the scanner and you set the scanner off, that's when the not nice pat down happens, right? But the way he handled it, he was a pro. He was a pro. Can you imagine what it's going to be like with these fucking ICE idiots? This is going to be a disaster. You're going to see video footage of people being fucking assaulted at the airport. You know how cranky people are at the airport? TSA puts up with a lot of abuse and shit from people. They're trained to. They're trained to de-escalate. Starting Monday, this is the fucking nightmare at our airports. And this is the good question that people, I love you people so much for being on it. Jaggy Righto, this is the question that people keep asking. Are they going to wear the fucking masks at the airport? If you're like me and you travel a lot, if you travel for business and travel for, you understand. You may not like TSA, but they're pros. They are pros. And I can tell you every time that I have been, sir, can you step over here? I know I did it. I know why I did it. I know, and they caught it. They caught it. They're fucking pros. And we're going to have these morons in the middle of our airport. And you know what? If you travel, you know what a mess that is going to be on top of the delays that we already have now. This is going to make things so much worse. It just is. Harold, thank you, buddy. I appreciate you, man. Another part of our European audience there. If you've got questions about how people are seeing this in other parts of the world, we have people right here in our community that can answer those questions for you. Ask. We're a community, man. This is what we do. And same thing for our folks from Europe, Australia, Africa, Asia. If you got any questions about what people are thinking here or whatever, ask. That's what this live chat is all about. Ask. Easy Reader, he's the most frightening embarrassment ever. He is. I'm telling you. Scott, 7907. Good morning from McAllen, Paul. My man. We were going to talk about farming today, and I didn't get to do it. I've got a lot of information to go through. Our friend, a member of our community named Tony, I won't give you his, unless he gives me permission, I won't ever give you his last name. But Tony he is an active farmer right now. I have family that farms too, but Tony is volunteering to give me information. He has sent me 30 minutes of videos to go through of him just explaining. So you can imagine, you know, how much information we're going through on what's going on with farmers, with fertilizer, and all the we're going to do the details. My man Scott here from McAllen can tell you exactly, because McAllen that's the valley. Let me show you. Let's go to the map. Why not, right? Y'all got a few thousand acres of water we can get from y'all up here in up there in East Texas. No, we don't. We use groundwater up here, man. It is. We are very limited on the water we have. Let me show you what I'm talking about here when I talk about the valley. And why it's important to you. A lot of your produce comes out of here. A lot of your produce comes out of here. California has a valley. We have a valley. This whole region right here is farm country. It is absolutely great weather. This is farm country. This is Reynosa, Mexico. This is the border. McAllen sits right on the border. Everything north of here, you're talking about Falfurrias, San Diego, Freer, Mathis. This whole area is farm territory. A ton of your produce comes from this area. Just tons of it. And man, they're facing some water shortages down there. Then you've got the fertilizer cost, and you've got everything else that's going on around farming. Folks, this is not looking good. Oil prices peaking over $100 a barrel. Shit is going to get real at the grocery store. I mean, you think it's high now because these idiots, because of Netanyahu, because of Trump is in the Epstein files, because Trump is losing the immigration debate, because he's in trouble politically, because Republicans are in trouble politically. We now have our lives fucked over. Ask him about what's going on in the valley and at the border. Ask him about it. Aquarius in AZ. I'm going to assume that's Arizona, my friend. Why wouldn't I? AZ, Arizona, right? Welcome. Glad to see our Arizona people in the house. Connie, good to see you, Connie. 2-month membership. Amen. Agent Cajun John. I hope there are super smart aliens, extraterrestrials that know that would take out all the corrupt government and protect us from ourselves. Wouldn't that be nice? I tell you, I did. I laughed out loud. John, I laughed out freaking loud. I did. I was flipping through some reels just to turn my mind off. And somebody had it was a meme. It wasn't a GIF or it was just a meme that popped up. And it said, if the aliens landed and said, "Take me to your leader," I would be like, well, I mean, think about that. If the aliens landed right where you are and said, "Take me to your leader," okay, we got to talk about that. Oh my God. I just, it shouldn't be funny. It shouldn't be funny, but I guess you just got to laugh. The Mystery Machine. Thank you for being here. Really, I appreciate you. Melissa told you, man, I'm glad to see all the Melissa. Glad to see you. Wayne, glad to see you. You've become a pro at lurking. You ain't lurking anymore, my man. New West Bill, which direction do prevailing winds blow out of Iran? That's a good question. I did not research that. If they hit that plant, though, I will have that information for you by the next show. That's a great question. I love you people so much I never even thought about that. Never even thought about it. Connie Leiden, thank you for the support, Connie. Thank you. Giddy Roadrunner, tell me why they don't lower flags for fallen soldiers, but they did for Kirk. Oh, that's so disgusting. Flag draped caskets are now fundraising opportunities. The grift goes on and on and on. You know, I'm telling you. You know what? I'll talk about it here. I'm going to talk about Bob Mueller here in just a second. I'll circle back to that whole Charlie Kirk thing. Brian Peacher, Russia has been committing war crimes since day one. Yeah, the war powers are doing whatever they want, thinking they will never be held accountable. Epstein files will not hide this. Nope. And there have been people already reporting in Lebanon that Israel is using Willie Pete, and that is, again, you just can't do that shit, man. Chief SOB, I'm a retired counterintelligence agent. My channel, Chief SOB, is brand new, but it's growing. We have a CI live stream. I got your email the other day. I'm gonna check it out. I'm gonna check it out. I am. I'm gonna catch one of your shows. Are you doing them? I noticed you just sent me the timing on the one. If you really want to grow your channel, whether anybody shows up or not, set up a schedule and do them on the regular. I'm telling you, it will suck at first. There will only be a handful of people. But that's okay. That's when you're going to be working through your presentation and your ability to talk and all that stuff. You got to do it on the regular. It's just free advice from me on growing your channel, my man. We have a live stream Wednesday, 8 p.m. on the 25th of March. I implore you to tune in. I will explain the origins of all this chaos. We are in a bad spot. I don't mind promoting other people on my channel. Cyanophorus cyanotype studio. Say that fast 3 times. Welcome. Glad to see you here. A couple more and we're going to get back to work. Joe Emily, Congress gave Trump an unlimited budget and he exceeded it. Yeah. They're looking for 200 billion more. That's insane. Hermana of Delphi. And you know what? Talking about the budget, there's a story that I'm keeping my eye on. I'm trying to get some more information on before we talk about it. But it looks like Corey Lewandowski is going to prison. Yeah. Geo Group has spilled the beans on him. Geo Group, the private prison company, they said that Lewandowski was pressuring them to pay him bribes or fees for maintaining their contracts at DHS. Yeah. Corey's going to jail. Hermano, I watch the Kid D podcasters. They never really experienced the time before this insanity. I am too old for this shit. No Kings this Saturday. Resist. Yes, it is. We got a No Kings Day coming up. We'll be talking more about that. I'm gonna be at the one in Smith County. I will. I'll be down there I'm raising hell and having a good time. Weird Idaho Liberal. Unity, strength, togetherness, the motto of Triquetra. Bring it to the streets. No kings, no war. Amen. Cassie Lake. Never thought I'd need the food and life survival skills my grandparents taught us from the Great Depression, but here we are. Live off the land. Yep. I'm going to be throwing some tomatoes in pots this year. I am. 5 p.m. somewhere. The only voices in Trump's ear are Mar-a-Lago billionaires heavily invested in defense stocks and most likely the Trump-Stein files. Yep. A couple more. We're going to get back to work. Dr. Dag 7. If this war was such a good idea for the world, according to Trumplicans, why didn't our last 4 presidents do this? Because they knew what would happen in the Persian Gulf. I was talking to a friend of mine that used to work at the Foreign Service. He was telling me, look, used to work at State Department. He's like, there's a reason nobody ever did this. We knew this would happen. Everybody's been briefed on the Persian Gulf. They know what happens. Everybody's hated Iran forever, and there's a reason they're still here. New West bill, if we attack with troops in Iran, our losses will be horrific. They are ready. I am sure our generals have warned them. Yeah, they talk about we'll be facing an army about 500,000 strong. Robert Walsh, thank you for being here. Nicola, I have my eulogy for Trump written already. Good riddance, you worthless SOB. Yeah. Let's talk about Bob Mueller. We'll come back to the rest of these comments here in just a second. I promise I'll catch up. This is a great article from Wired. Um, Not talking about his passing. It's talking about just a little bit of background information on Bob Mueller. It is, if you've got access to Wired magazine, Wired's been doing some great job. You know, they started off as just a tech magazine, but they've been doing some really great journalism, some really great stories. I'm highly impressed with Wired magazine. But this talks about his service during the Vietnam War. You know, Bob Mueller, you know, like I said, he was a veteran. He's a decorated veteran. He served. He was injured, pretty badly injured. Returned to combat after 3 months. These are all pictures of him from Vietnam during his time of service in Vietnam. Then he went on. He stayed in public service. He ended up becoming the FBI director. I remember my first introduction to Bob Mueller was when I was pretty young. You remember those old piracy copyright warnings that were on everything? The ones you would get in the game, they were actually signed by Bob Mueller. And I'll tell you, did I agree with everything he did? No. We would have disagreed on a lot. We would have. I think that his war on drugs, he was part of that war on drugs. And I just think that drugs and addiction are a bad thing. They are, but the way we handle it is, again, to use that word of the day, idiocy. I think it's just dumb. We also probably would have been on the opposite sides of the table on things like restoring felons' rights. I don't know. I kind of look at prison like you either are or are not becoming square with the house. Punishment shouldn't be forever. If something is bad enough that you should lose your rights forever, you probably shouldn't come out of prison. I don't know. That's just the way I feel about it. But Bob Mueller was one of those people that you're never square with the house. You just lose your rights forever. And to me, that's perpetual punishment. That shouldn't, you either have a path to become square with the house again, or you don't. This halfway shit is just abuse. So yeah, there were things that I would disagree. I hated the fact that, but he was committed to the law. He was. You've got to give him that. He was committed to the law. He stood up and told us directly, yeah, Trump's guilty as shit. But he's the president and I can't touch him. Because of the law. Change the law. Bill Barr had to rewrite Bob Mueller's report to keep all the facts from coming out. He had that much commitment to the law. If you give me like a prosecutor or somebody that never loses, I will show you somebody that is breaking the law. They're breaking the law. They're getting convictions at all costs. If you're following the law, if you have a true commitment to the law, you're going to take an L every once in a while. Somebody's going to walk. Just because life is life and there's going to be circumstances that happen. And Bob Mueller was one of those people that were like, this guy's guilty as hell. I know it, but the law is the law and I can't prove it. I can't win this in court, and we respect the courts. And I respect that about him. There's nothing perfect in this world. Society's not perfect. It's just not. Our justice systems, everything are going to have flaws in them, but you build the systems to be as good as they can. And one of the fail-safes is that the government loses. Look at Afro Man. What just happened with Afro Man? Protecting our civil rights, man. Our right to free speech. And it's guys like Bob Mueller that keep those institutions going, that keep them from becoming fascist, because they're willing to take the L every once in a while when it's the right thing to do. So yeah, would I agree with Bob Mueller on everything? No, I wouldn't. But I will tell you, we are a poor country for his passing. We are a poorer country for his passing. While I would have fought to change his policies, I would have disagreed with him. I would have tried to change the law. The man had character. And he lived it. He lived it. And on that note, this was a response from the President of the United States upon hearing that Bob Mueller had passed. Robert Mueller just died. Good. I'm glad he's dead. He can no longer hurt innocent people. President Donald J. Trump. Okay. Donald J. Trump was not innocent people. Just let that classless behavior sink in for a little bit. And I told you I would take this back to Charlie Kirk. Y'all remember James Dobson? We talked about him. Talked about James Dobson. I put up a video about him. And in that video, all I said was what James Dobson had said himself. And his Christian nationalist, right-wing, low character, bullshit followers got an account strike on 2 platforms against me for just saying what the man himself had said. Oh, I did also say that I was happy. Similar to what Donald Trump said here. But he said it about a good and decent man. Out of personal vengeance, and James Dobson was just a horrible person. If I said this, if I said these words about Charlie Kirk, I'm going to read it again here in just a second. If I said these words about Charlie Kirk, whom I think was a horrible person, I think he was a bigot. I think he brought the absolute worst out in young men. I think he preyed on children. I think he preyed on young people's minds. I think Turning Point USA is a filthy, horrible organization that you should protect your children from. So when he died, had I said this about Charlie Kirk, these exact words, he says, Robert Mueller just died. If I'd have said that about Charlie Kirk, good. I'm glad he's dead. He can no longer hurt innocent people. And then signed my name to it. If I said that about Charlie Kirk, they would try to get me run off the platform. I promise you, they would manipulate AI. They would manipulate the AI algorithm that controls it. They would mass report me for saying it and call me a bully and tell me that I was threatening people. by saying that. So they know what he is, but it's just what I always tell you about these people. They have no character. They have no core beliefs. None. They are bad people. They are bad people at their core. There is no guiding principle. They are windsocks. They used to hate war. Now all they do is love it. Trump was right. You can't say things like that about Charlie. They got people fired from their jobs. They attacked people in their personal lives just for expressing that same sentiment about Charlie Kirk. Disciples of Turning Point USA got people fired from their jobs. Yet, today, on all the social media platforms, you have the right-wingers defending this, saying Bob Mueller deserved it. Trump actually could have said worse. No shit, that is a sentiment you're hearing. People, we are not the same. I can tell you from the number of emails I got from you, just because I referred to the people that are incapable of doing what you do, that can't big picture things, that aren't, don't follow politics and just vote simplistically on their feels and their emotions. I branded those people the stupids. I will get emails again today just for saying it. Because you're like, no, we're better than that. That's not us. You can't do that. Folks, we are not the same. We are not the same. We are not the same. And if we want to save our country, we're going to have to do the work. We are. We're going to have to do the work. Julia, welcome. Glad to see the new members. Let me go through some of the comments here. Rena, Rump can't unscramble Nari to spell Iran anymore. That he can resolve the problems he has created there. Yeah, he's an idiot. Babylon 01. Hey, gifted 10 memberships. Very, very gracious of you, Babylon. Very gracious of you. There are free memberships to be had out there, folks. There are. Snatch them up. Derek Anderson, welcome. Glad to see the new members here. Rena, the only option is to impeach the SOB that is destroying the USA. And the only way to do that is to give Democrats super majorities. It's the only way they will get the votes. That's it. Vlado 01, it's too late for any other options. All the closer to rational Iranian leaders, all the closer to rational Iranian leaders are done. Forgive my poor reading there. Yeah. Yeah, spot on there, sir. Linda Orndorff, if we send in the ground troops, they're going to get swarmed by Iranian drones. We have no defense against the drones. It's the people. They're not going to greet us as liberators. They aren't. They just aren't. The terrain is awful. You're going to have to take the cities. And yeah, we will not be greeted as liberators. Clarence, WD, the quote, Star Trek, it's the Vulcan hello. We cannot leave there now, the bastard. I don't know. Did y'all come up with a better avenue? I keep looking at every possible thing we can do, and I'm not seeing a good avenue here. This was just stupid. Kate Marylight tried making a comment, but stopped me. So here's some cat. I don't know what stopped you, but thanks for the cash. What stopped you? New S Bill, please consider changing your travel plans. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Yeah. Seriously, Kate Maryland, if you're having a problem with chat, like email me. Let me know. Gail Brownell, militarizing our airport, possibly permanently. And folks, if you are having a chat problem, I am sorry about that. YouTube is having just an issue. They've got a new AI control system that monitors these chats. If you say something like really off, not only will it not let you post it, but if it's bad enough, it will literally ban you from YouTube automatically. You got to be careful what you say. Big Brother is watching. Ruben Michaels, thanks for gifting the membership. U.S. tourism will further it will further decline. No one will want to go here. $6 gallon gas is in California, and thank God I have EV, and it's not a Tesla. Yeah, they're bringing EVs back hard, man. Ruben Michaels, thanks for gifting the memberships, man. Welcome, Angie Machado. Welcome. Trump will have us starve. Yep. Michael, it's going to be rough. That's not hyperbole. It's not hyperbole. Most Americans, I know we feel really poor, but compared to a lot of places where they're just not having meals, they don't have food. This is going to kill people. This is going to cause famine. This is how you make terrorists, people. Lily Wiggs, can NATO do anything about us committing war crimes? Can they do anything about Cuba? No. The world is coming to a very horrific understanding that we are an incredibly powerful nation. And when we elect indecent people, there ain't fuck all they can do about it. There just isn't. And that's a sober reality. I mean, people just have to be more responsible. When you see these people that talk about, oh, they don't like Democrats for this reason, or the purists, or the doomers, or the people that just clickbaiters because they can get clicks off of shit talking Democrats and stuff. I want you to keep that in mind. What they're gambling with. I mean, I'm telling you, folks, I'll be the first one to tell you, no, I'm in the Democratic Party because the Democratic Party needs work. I think we need to pull it hard left. So am I saying it's perfection? No, but I'm saying it's the only governing party we have and the only party with any decency. If you want to change something about it, fix it from within after they have power. Stop playing this game. Republicans are immoral. They're dangerous. Stop. Gail Barnell, YouTube videos on container gardens. You can no-till garden your lawn, grow what you can. We all need to save ourselves. Time to buy seeds is now. Yep, I'm actually way behind on both flowers and I'm just way behind on everything, flowers and vegetables and everything. Classic spicy Italian. Welcome. Love me some spicy Italians. Mandolia, airport security might not let ICE in with masks, firearms, and gas canisters. And if the Saudis ask Donnie D-Bag not to bomb Iran's power plants, he might listen then. Maybe they'll bribe Jared Kushner just to have Donnie go home. But it's not what they want. They want us in a war with Iran. They want us to have boots on the ground. They want us to do their dirty work that they cannot do. 5 p.m. somewhere. Ironic that the brosphere will be the first ones drafted. Way to go, Rogan, Fuentes, Poole. Yep. 5 p.m. somewhere. Turning Point USA, the people you should avoid. That's great. I'd never thought of that. Is great. Turning Point USA, the people you should avoid. Yep. TPUSA. Kyra, serious question is Tom Homan special needs? It's not just his speech. There's something stunted about him. This timeline, damn it, so much. He's the kind of person that you don't want to think of in law enforcement. There's something really wrong with that guy. I'm with you, Kyra. I am 100% with you on that one. Uncle Fatty, every accusation is a confession. Fact, true. Crafty ass Gardner, very generous of you. Thank you very much. There are free memberships to be had. If you're watching this in replay, snatch one of them up. If you're watching this live and don't have access to the emojis and stuff yet, snatch one of them up. By the way, you can use them on my shorts or whatever. They're still there. Ruben, welcome, brother. David Cantu, Trump feels it in his flocking bones. He is, for a guy that is a sociopath that needs affection and attention and is addicted to social media and the news, this shit is seeping into his bubble and it is killing his soul. Jeff Schuler, just wait until Mango Moron takes a dirt nap. I will party for weeks. The entire world is going to party when that guy dies. Moonlit Woman. Thank you for all you do, Paul, and your coffee cups are awesome. Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you. I need to come up with some new ones. I do. Get rid of some of the old ones that people aren't liking all that much and bring in some new ones. I'm going to do it. Weird Idaho liberal for the Texas Paul Moab bunker buster cussing John. Cussing jar. Careful not to crack the planet in half with those massive shock waves. I appreciate you, brother. I do. El Vlado. I just thought about it, Paul. Maybe Trump wants to attack a nuclear plant to irradiate Iran on purpose. Was probably told he can't use nukes. That guy wants to nuke something so freaking bad. He does. He does. Before he's done, he wants to use a nuclear weapon, man. He is really. Jenny, 2025. The only reason Mueller could not prove Trump colluded with Russia is that Trump used go-betweens like Roger Stone, who never talked. If you read the report, he proved it. He did. He proved it. Ruben Michaels, thank you, Texas Paul, for all you do. Thank you. Angie May, 86 Netanyahu, win the midterms, force Trump and Vance out. Amen. I'm with you. That's the plan, Stan. Or at least put guardrails around them until the 2028 election. Lonnie Johnson, thank you. And welcome, Libby G. Morgan. Welcome. All right, last two comments and then we're done. Or no, actually, one of them's not. Angie May, thank you for the support. Last comment and we're done. Cale McLaren, as the father of a special needs child, I object strongly to the characterization of Tom Homan. I get that you don't want, I get where you're coming from, but do you not think that there's something wrong with Tom Homan? I mean, really, I get what you're saying there. Don't compare Tom Homan to my kid. Get that. I get that. But I mean, don't you think there's something really, really, really wrong with him? Last comment. Don't be one of the stupids as a mug would be great or something like that. That's a good idea. That is a good idea. I've actually been kicking that around. That is something I've been kicking around. Something to do with the stupids. Folks, enjoy some Texas cities at night.